The NBA offseason is always newsworthy. There are always free agency moves and big trades that have the ability to impact the upcoming season. An offseason trade can skyrocket a team from a struggling mediocre position to a playoff run. In 2018, Kawhi Leonard was traded from San Antonio to Toronto, where he led the Raptors to an NBA title that year. Russell Westbrook led the Houston Rockets to a playoff run after being traded from Oklahoma City. And Anthony Davis played a part in the LA Lakers' 2019 NBA championship team after being traded there by the New Orleans Pelicans. But what trades could change the landscape of the NBA this offseason? Here is a look at some blockbuster NBA trades that could change everything. Number 1. Kevin Durant. The Kevin Durant saga wages on in Brooklyn. After demanding a trade at the conclusion of the 2021 to 2022 season, there has been no real movement in the way of potential suitors for the future Hall of Famer. And now, the Nets organization and Kevin Durant have given up hopes for a trade and will move forward together. However, the relationship between the Nets and Durant is fractured, so if the right deal came along, there's no doubt that a trade would be very much on the table. Since the formal trade request, the Boston Celtics, Miami Heat, Toronto Raptors, New Orleans Pelicans, and now the Memphis Grizzlies have all shown interest in KD. However, none of the teams have put forward an attractive enough deal for the Nets to let the superstar go. But what would a team need to offer the Nets in exchange for the 12-time All-Star? The Nets are reportedly asking for a lot in return for Durant. Multiple years of first-round picks, along with several players in return, and a young potential star still on his rookie contract. That's a big ask, and something that not many teams have, and the ones that do are not willing to make the move for an aging player when the picks they have could turn into the next best thing. The teams linked to Durant are all playoff and championship contenders. They are a player or two away from making a real run at the NBA championship. With Kevin Durant, the Celtics may have even won the finals last year against the Warriors. Durant playing for the Miami Heat next year could see a new Eastern Conference champion. And could you imagine a New Orleans team with Kevin Durant and Zion Williamson? Or a Memphis team with Ja Morant and Kevin Durant? Those two rosters would be expected to make a deep playoff run. Kevin Durant may be aging, but last season he still finished 4th in the league in points per game with 29.9. He still made the All-NBA second team and is still one of the top 5 players in the league. A top 5 player being shipped off to another team is league-changing, not just for the potential for new teams to make playoff runs, but for the future of the team trading the player. In this case, the Brooklyn Nets. If Brooklyn was to be offered 5 first-round picks for Durant's services, they could have 10 first-round picks over the next 5 years. That's 10 possible future All-Stars. Picks are huge for teams developing young talent. And with that many, the Brooklyn Nets would have potential trading assets for another star player, or use them to build a new team without Kevin Durant. Number 2. Russell Westbrook and Kyrie Irving. The Los Angeles Lakers just re-signed one of the best players to ever play the game, LeBron James. A new 2-year deal makes LeBron the highest paid player in NBA history. This contract extension could have massive trade implications for Russell Westbrook and Kyrie Irving. The window for LeBron James to win another NBA championship is slowly closing. Although he is still playing like he's in his prime, the test of time is unbeaten, and it will catch him soon. The Lakers will be in a full-on win-now mode for LeBron, and that could mean making attempts to bring in LeBron's former championship-playing partner, Kyrie Irving. With the re-signing of LeBron, it could reignite talks of trade between the Lakers and Nets for Kyrie Irving. The Lakers, now knowing they have LeBron locked in for a further 2 years, may be willing to give up more first-round picks. Russell Westbrook is also in the last year of his deal with the Lakers, and is owed $47 million from the team. It could be a deal that makes a little too much sense for both teams. The Lakers obviously get to reunite a championship duo in LeBron James and Kyrie Irving, whilst getting to offload Russell Westbrook's huge payday. And the Nets get a new point guard in Russell Westbrook, who would probably be willing to renegotiate a contract in Brooklyn while getting shot of the problematic Kyrie Irving, and possibly acquire a further first-round pick or two to help them build a team around Westbrook. It would be a monumental trade that would alter the NBA landscape. Rarely are deals done where 2 former All-Stars are switched, and rarely does a trade happen where both teams win the trade and get to better their team. Number 3. Damian Lillard. The Portland Trail Blazers have claimed that Damian Lillard is not on the trade market. They made this more evident when they inked Lillard to a 2-year extension last month. But when has a contract ever got in the way of a trade? And it's been proven time and time again that anyone is tradable for the right price. In February this year, the Trailblazers traded CJ McCollum to the Pelicans during their miserable 27-win season, sparking rumors that the franchise was entering a rebuilding phase. And step 2 of that plan could see the departure of Damian Lillard. Lillard has played in Portland all 10 years of his career, and despite being a top player in the league, the Trailblazers have failed to capitalize on his talent and have made few meaningful playoff runs. Lillard must be looking for the same thing any talent of this caliber would want at this time of his career: an NBA championship. During the 2019 to 2020 season, Damian Lillard had a career-high 30 points per game. The following season, he had a similar year with 28.8 points per game. However, last season, he only played 29 games due to injury. He's also a 6-time All-Star and still only 32 years old. He could be a massive asset to any team who is willing to pay for his services. However, the teams that could be in contention for Lillard are limited. Back in February, when his teammate CJ McCollum was traded, rumors circulated that if he was to be dealt in a deal, Lillard would prefer a team on the West Coast. But which West Coast team could benefit from the former first-round pick? And at what cost? The Los Angeles Clippers make the most sense if the Trailblazers did decide to hit the reset button. They could push for a reunion of Damian Lillard, Norman Powell, and Robert Covington. The latter played alongside Lillard on the Trailblazers the last couple of years. When healthy, the Clippers have one of the most talented rosters in the league, but have continually failed to meet expectations. However, acquiring Lillard would give them a massive piece of the puzzle in the court general. A player who could control the game on the court and complement Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. The move would give the Clippers no excuse not to make a big playoff run, but it wouldn't come cheap. If inheriting a 2-year maximum contract wasn't enough, multiple first-round picks would be the bare minimum asking price from the Trailblazers, and since the Clippers would be entering a win-now mode with the move, the Trailblazers could very well ask for a selection of young players in return. Amir Coffey, Terrence Mann, and Ivica Zubac are all 25 years old and could be of interest for the Trailblazers to start their rebuild. The move would certainly put the Clippers in the discussion for one of the best teams in the Pacific Conference. It makes sense for both teams, and Damian Lillard might finally get the supporting cast around him to chase a ring. Number 4, John Collins. Unlike the other names on this list, John Collins is not a blockbuster all-star player who could single-handedly take a franchise from contender to champion, but he can definitely impact a team and help them in the right direction. It seems John Collins has been on the trade block since he signed his rookie extension for the Atlanta Hawks, and now the Hawks seem certain to develop their team around Trae Young. So now could very well be the time Collins is sent packing. The Denver Nuggets would be a potential suitor for the John Collins trade. They wouldn't need to give up a whole lot of capital to secure the trade. However, they could boost their roster with the addition. The Nuggets are definitely looking to be a contender in the 2022 to 2023 season. With Nikola Jokic, Monte Morris, and Will Barton on the court, they are not in dire need of a massive superstar caliber player to get there. And a near enough straight swap between Aaron Gordon and John Collins could be attractive for both teams. Collins is the better offensive player. He scored 16.2 points per game last year, but only played 54 games. While Aaron Gordon could be argued as the better defensive player, the Hawks need help with their defense that ranked 26th in the league last year. A combination of Aaron Gordon and newly acquired DeJounte Murray should be intriguing for the Hawks. Plus, they get to offload Collins' contract where he is due $23 million. The Nuggets would have to take on this contract, but they get the better player in return. That's a deal they'd be happy with. Number 5, Donovan Mitchell. Like John Collins, Donovan Mitchell is not a talent that could take a team from losing seasons to a championship run by himself, but he is a commodity nonetheless. He was drafted by the Utah Jazz with a 13th overall pick in 2017. He has developed into a top player for the team, led the Jazz in scoring the last 2 seasons, and has made 3 All-Star teams. He has won the hearts of Utah fans along the way, so why is he being shipped out? It's becoming clear that the Jazz doesn't have a championship caliber team. With Mitchell and Rudy Gobert being the top guys, they just don't cut it and have been middle-of-the-road type teams the last few years. It has also been reported that Donovan Mitchell has plans to leave the Utah Jazz as soon as he can, with New York being a preferable location for him. So in that sense, Utah is likely thinking that Donovan isn't going to lead the team to a championship and is thinking of leaving in a few years when his contract is done. So trading him now, they will at least get something in return. The New York Knicks have already had a sizable offer rejected by Utah for Mitchell, a deal that included 5 draft picks, Evan Fournier, and Obi Toppin. So as of now, the teams are in a stalemate. The Knicks are weary to give away any more future draft picks, while Utah is holding out for more compensation for letting their top player go. Should the deal work itself out, and Donovan Mitchell does in fact become a New York Knick, he would join Julius Randle and RJ Barrett as the top players on the team. Not exactly championship material right now, but it makes good foundations for the team moving forward. Those 3 players are under 30 years old and have a huge upside. This might not be a trade that makes massive differences to the 2023 NBA season, but it could be looked back on in years to come as a pivotal move for the Knicks, should they make it work. Are there any other trades you think could happen this offseason, or trades you want your team to make? Let us know in the comments below. There are very few players in the league who are untradeable. One is the NBA's leading 3-point scorer, Stephen Curry, but his ability to shoot from all over the court is just one reason why he's completely off the market. Want to know 10 times Stephen Curry went too far? Watch here.